A little bit about what Brandon Gertz brings to the table. Obviously, we know he's coming in on short notice. He doesn't have the resume that you have, but he's been around the game for a long time as well.
Yeah, no, he has, and he's a tough guy. He's probably one of the toughest guys in the lightweight division. I mean, am I better than him skill wise? Am I better than him on paper? Am I supposed to win? Of course. But I know a good competitor when I see one. I know a tough man when I see one. I've watched all of his fights. I've seen all of his fights even before I knew I was going to fight him. I knew I was going to fight him eventually. I didn't know it was going to be under these circumstances, but he's a scary, dangerous guy. I mean, he throws heavy leather. We're in a fight where we're wearing 4-ounce gloves. Anybody can get knocked out with 4-ounce gloves. So I've left no stone unturned in my preparation. I'm 100% prepared whether I was going to fight for the title or not for the title. 5 rounds, 3 rounds, 10 rounds. It doesn't matter. I'm excited to step into the cage against a game-worthy opponent. I mean, if you look at my last year. In June, it will be a year since the Madison Square Garden injury. So I had the injury against Primus, wanted to fight him in, August, September, October, November, December, asked to fight. The fight wouldn't materialize because he was on maternity leave. Just so happens I just had a son as well at the same exact time, but I ponied up and was ready to fight like a man to provide for his family, to feed the mouths at the table. And then fast forward to January, I took a fight against one of the hottest rising prospects in the Bellator lightweight division with 18 submissions. Nobody wanted to take that fight. I took the fight, went out and smashed him. Now here I am again with another fight with not much to gain and a whole lot to lose, but man, I'm in this sport for legacy. I'm in this sport to inspire people. If people can see what's going on here, and I'm stepping in on short notice to fight a guy who wants to take my head off, it's going to help other people in their lives. So, man, just throw caution to the wind, go out there and compete.
What's the ideal timetable for you? I mean, go out there and get a win on Friday, and then this summer or early fall, hope that Brent's ready to do it finally?
I could care less about him, man. If I never hear that name again, I'll be 100% positive, 100% great. I think it would do the whole, MMA world a great deal of favor if we never had to worry about him again. He's a part-time fighter. He's a Dylan Dennis. He's one of these people who aren't real fighters. They're not real fighters. If you fight one time every 16 months, you're not a real fighter. This will be my 22nd fight in the same amount of time that he has had in his career. So, I mean, I'm not really worried about that. Tired of talking about him, honestly. I'm ready to fight Brandon Gertz. I'm ready to step in the cage, compete, and the people at the St. Charles Family Arena, the people watching on the Paramount Network, watching on CMT Live Friday night are going to get a great treat, and I'm excited to go out there and do it.
Did you do everything for this camp in Nashville 100%?
No, I was down in Florida. So my gym training camp we just finished. We just got occupancy permit this week, so we'll be opening next week or the week after. Start getting people in there, and I'll start building my team, start recruiting my coaches and my training partners and all that kind of stuff. I've had a ton of interest from guys around the world, around the country, who want to come train, and that's what I want to do. I mean, I've had such amazing people in my life that have built me up and poured into me, and I want to have a brick and mortar place with 4 walls and a roof where I can just build people up, But I did my whole training camp down in Florida, and it's nice. It's close to Nashville. It's an hour-and-a-half flight, so I'd spend Sunday night through Friday in Florida working out, getting after it with all the guys down there at Hard Knocks 365, the H Kickboxing crew, and then I'd be home at 3 p.m. on Friday, spend some time with my wife and son, and enjoy life.
Moving forward, will you do everything then in Nashville, do you figure, or will you still go back and forth?
No, I'll be going back and forth. Okay. I mean, when you find a group as good as I have found, with coaches as good as I have found, with training partners as good as I have found, you spend as much time there as you possibly can. It's going to be great to have. I mean, we have 3,000 square feet of mat space. Essentially, my gym, the MMA side of my gym is bigger than the gym I train at down in Florida. So we have the space, but we're going to start getting general members in there, and we're going to start building a local team as far as the amateur fighters and the pro fighters there in Tennessee. And I'll be doing a lot of my training in Nashville, but when it comes time to really buckle down and get those solid 4-6 weeks in for a training camp, I got to be surrounded by Henry Hooft, Evan, Coach Craig Jones down there, Kami Barzini, and all those training partners down there.
In terms of just the grand scheme of things, life and everything, how good does that feel to be able to have that project going and about to launch? You got your son. You've moved to Nashville. You're setting up roots there now.
Yeah.
Even if you can't get the Brent thing going and that still annoys you, you've got this other side of life that's going perfect.
Oh my gosh, man! I got the 12 pounds of leather and gold. All that stuff tarnishes, man. What's really real in life is is the people around you, my small team. I mean, I always have a team around me, but it's a small group of people that would take a bullet for me. And I have my wife and my son at home. And in 2018, 2017 technically, but right in the last couple months, my wife and I have seen visions of 15 years come into fruition. When my wife was 15 years old, she had it on her heart when she was working in Columbia, Missouri at the place called Granny's House, working with at-risk youth. And she said ever since then she was going to adopt a little boy. And now here we are 15 years later, that vision has come to fruition. And 15 years ago, almost to the day, I talked to my dad about building a gym, and he said, okay, well, if you're gonna do a gym, I'm gonna build it with my bare hands. And we just got occupancy permit this week, you know. So, and my dad built the gym with his bare hands, you know. So when you hold on to these visions, when you see these visions, when the doors open and the door stays open, you continue to be obedient, you walk through it. When a door closes, you pivot and you keep the faith that something great is gonna happen. But right now is just a great time in my life, and I feel like there's nothing that can stop me, and a lot of that has to do with being a new father and just being an excited man to go out there and just continuing to paint this picture that my son will see someday. And the way that my son sees that when he's old enough to understand, that's the real masterpiece. That's what's really important to me.